Hello everybody and welcome to another Doctor Who review. This time I am reviewing State of Decay, part of the E Space Trilogy that I'm reviewing as part of Who Month, starring the 4th Doctor, Tom Baker. As you may know, if you do follow these reviews on a regular basis, you know that the classic series is always covered by the plot synopsis from the television companion, and here it is for State of Decay. The Doctor, K9, Romana and Adric, an outlaw from Alzarius who is stowed away aboard the TARDIS, arrive on a planet where the native villagers live in fear of the wasting and of three lords named Zargo, Camilla and Orkon, who rule from an opposing tower. The lords are soon revealed to be vampire servants of the last great vampires, a race referred to in Time Lord mythology. The great vampire is about to be revived from its resting place beneath the tower, in fact the spaceship in which the lords in their original human forms came to E Space. But the Doctor launches one of the ship's 3 shuttlecraft and it pierces the heart of the creature, killing it. The lords, deprived of their master, crumble to dust. So, Full Circle was the first of the E Space Trilogy. State of Decay is the second, and it's the penultimate story written by Terrance Dicks in the classic era of Doctor Who. Now, this story is playing on the Hammer horror elements of vampires more than the actual Bram Stoker version. The gothic nature of the tower, the way that the villagers are in fear of the lords, the three who rule, the fact that they take the villagers to help become part of the great plan and become servants and possibly guards, but usually become people who are drained of blood to help revive the great vampire. There's also the factor of course, Adric coming into the village, this champion who's fearless, who goes in, well, he's not really fearless, this is Adric we're talking about, but he comes in the village and the Doctor and Romana go into the village and we don't see much of the village. You see the inside of what looks like is the refectory area, what do they call it? Not the refectory area, but the place where everybody eats. You don't see much more of the village apart from that. You see more of the forest into the village, but it's that sort of Hammer horror elements to it, and it's definitely a story written for another era. It's not written for something that you would have now, have at that time. There's less scientific gumph in this one, which makes it all the more interesting. There is a scientific bent about the fact that obviously the three who rule are originally human, who were popped into E-Space by accident through a CVE, like the Doctor and Romana were, and ended up turning into the servants of the Great One, which was an interesting plot point. Overall, it's an enjoyable romp. It's interesting to see, and it's a story that I do enjoy watching on a regular basis. Pardon me. So we have the cast. We've got the Doctor, of course, played by Tom Baker. It's more of a classic Tom, this one. He goes in a situation, he plays his avuncular self when it comes to the first confrontations with the three who rule. His interplay with Romana is quite cool, quite good. I love the bits near the end of the second episode where he's finally figuring out what's happening with the situation with the vampires and what the legends are and everything. With that, I love the conversation that he and Romana have, and he plays it so well. That kind of comedy element that they had in the last series is still there. That fondness they have for each other is brilliant. I do like that. I think that really works. And you can tell the two of them are back on good terms again, because I think there was a little bit of strained relationship between the two of them in Full Circle. But you get the impression they're kind of enjoying each other's company again. As actors, and the rapport is back again a little bit, which I quite liked. I like the fact that them two are together most of it and exploring together and bouncing off each other intellectually outside of the main lot. And then you've got Adric in the sidelines not doing much, but Tom overall was quite strong. So is Lalla Ward as Romana. I love the fact that she's trying to keep it calm but gets a bit scared. I can understand that when you've got somebody creepy who wants to suck your neck out when she's trying to rescue Adric. There's a bit of scariness there. The fact she becomes a sacrifice is a bit Hammer horror in that respect. The beautiful woman gets sacrificed, or attempts to be sacrificed in this case. It's very Hammer horror in that respect. A bit OTT in that respect, but it works for Doctor Who. This melodrama does work for Doctor Who, and the way it's played here is good. But Romana's best bit is the conversation she has with the fact about how to fight the vampires and Type 40 TARDISes. The information's there, which has that nice scene that Tom has in the TARDIS with the punch cards, trying to put it into the TARDIS to get the information about how to kill them. Along with the conversation with K9 in the background, not quite understanding what's happening. So K9's effectively come with the companion of that bit. Please explain a bit more. I like that. You then got her bit with you've got her bit trying to save Adric and get Adric back, and her with the main rebel, which is that Kelmar? No, it's Tarek. Tarek, who tries to who helps and dresses up as a Guardian, who's one of the rebels. Dresses up a Guardian and tries to help save the Doctor and Romana, and they end up doing that, and the Doctor goes back to the TARDIS, and Romana goes to try and save Adric, which is interesting. So there's a lot of independence there. You can see the independence of Romana, you can see the development of Romana to the active extent, and Romana has a lot to do in these stories, and her knowledge and her insights and intelligence are showing through quite well in these stories, and this is another example of it. You've then got Matthew Waterhouse as Adric. I went a little bit of length last time about how he doesn't really work as a companion overall. He's still trying to be the Artful Dodger here. The trait that Adric's pretty good at trying to do is the bluff factor. He plays it again in Kinder. This bluff factor of, I'll try and help the baddies. I'll try and worm a different way into this, and try and help save people. And he tries it again with Orcon. Doesn't work that well, but it's a character trait that Adric will try and do. It's not the strongest acting from Matthew Waterhouse, I have to admit. He's not terrible in this one. He's mediocre again. He's not terrible. He works well when the Doctor's in the scene with Doctor and Romana. He works well with them, but he's not great and annoying yet. That comes very quickly. In Peter Davison's era. But here he's not too bad. He's pretty solid, to be fair. But mediocre solid, I suppose. Then we've got the three main guest casts of Orcon, played by Emma James, who, this Welsh psychic lord. He's obviously got second sight. He can see things through the bats. Two of the cliffhangers are basically him staring into camera. A trait that becomes a bit more common in Colin Baker's era of somebody staring at camera making a face. But here, the weak cliffhangers. But I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, no, overall, he's the best of the three main guest casts here. He has the most to do. He's the most hammed up, melodramatic of the three. Creepy to an extent. But not over the top. It's quite a fun performance. You then got William Lindsay, who plays Zargo, and Rachel Davies, who play Camilla. They tend to be on screen together as the king and queen. They play their role adequately. They play their role as a kind of uppity, powerful-ish people. You know that Orcon's the one behind the power behind the throne. They get a little bit annoyed with Orcon because he still has the power of foresight, which he promised to them. But the regalness does come through. They play it quite evil, I suppose. I mean, these sort of Hammer horror things, I do enjoy them, but I don't understand the reference half the time because horror's not my biggest thing. So there may be more to this than I'm seeing. You then got Clinton Grain, who plays Ivo, who is the head man of the village. He's kind of like the Logan character of Full Circle, though he doesn't have a big role or doesn't go into the big three. I mean, that's interesting. These two stories, you've got three protagonists effectively outside of who are the head of something that you get involved with here. And Ivo is the first of that. You then got Tarek, played by Thane Battany, and Habris, played by Ian Rattray, who are all pretty solid characters and make good roles themselves. And then you got Kalmar, played by Arthur Hewlett, who is the old man. I mean, they're okay. I mean, they're all good supporting characters. There's not really much remarkable about them, and the rest of them are kind of interesting, but they're not major characters really. Overall, the production's not too bad. I like the way they bring in the bats and the natural history footage of the bats flying through the air into caves and that, and the shots you got the bats coming through. The scene between the Doctor and Romana talking about the vampires and how to defeat them is very good. I like that scene, as I mentioned already. Interesting was Zargo's strength killing the rebel guard, killing Tarek. It was Tarek, wasn't it? Yeah, killing Tarek, and the strength and the way that's directed is quite good, because you can see he's obviously standing on some sort of stool or something, but the way it's acted is like he's got a strength there. He's grabbing him from high and flings him onto the bed or the coffin and then collapse dead on the floor. That's not bad, and shows the strength there of Zargo. The first two cliffhangers are kind of weak as such, because Sugar, we've got to get to cliffhanger. How do we do this? Oh, I know. We've got Everest Jones. Let's get him involved and get him becoming staring to the camera very menacingly, and that works for the first one. It doesn't for the second. They realise very later on it doesn't work, because the third part is pretty. The third part is stronger in regards to its cliffhanger. And of course it paces along not too bad. Overall, it's not a bad little story. Terence Dicks writes quite strong anyway. He knows how Doctor Who works. He knows how the characters work off each other and plays on that. It's a good romp. It paces along. You don't really get bored. The design is pretty gothic. I like the design they do in the tower. The village bits are not too bad. The rebel camp's kind of like a cave. I like the fact they're trying to get the logs up from the actual main ship's manifest, ship's computers, to try and learn knowledge. And I like that idea of them holding back in everything. But the Doctor has to say, you have to attack now, otherwise you'll die, because the Great One's about to stay. The whole mythology about the Great One and the vampires and Time Lord's war with them and the bow ships and everything else is very... It shows that the Time Lords could be powerful and could use their great power to help the universe as such, and it's something that's rarely touched on. I mean, we've seen the Time Lords as crusty old diplomats, but here they're seen a bit more powerfully, and you don't really see the Time Lords with that sort of historical power being mentioned that much in the series. And the Time Lords being seen as more powerful. There's more in the new series, really. We reference them in the new series after they come back after Day of the Doctor. But Peter Moffat is his first directorial debut of Doctor Who, like Peter Greenraid was the time before. Peter Moffat is very well known in his later stuff of having very highly lit stories. He does a lot of futuristic stuff, and it shows. His lighting here is not too bad. It's pretty staid. It's quite atmospheric. It works for me. And it just plods along. There's nothing really special about it. Most of the work that's been done is not too bad. The effect of the Great One is just basically a hand coming out from the ground at the end, because I don't think they managed to do much with the actual effect itself of the Great One. They could have played in it a little bit visually more. Maybe not seeing much of the Great One would have been fine, as Peter Moffat has suggested when he's been talking about it afterwards. It's okay. It's steady enough, and so is the story, to be fair. I'm just going to mention about Paddy Kingsland and his music again as well, which I think is really good, and I think it works here. There's a little bit more of a musical background here. But it's still using the synths. There's not as much of the cymbals and the guitar that he uses in Logopolis, which is his next story he scores, I believe. And it works. I do enjoy Paddy Kingsland's music. This one doesn't detract, like his others, doesn't detract from the story. It enhances it, it keeps it going. The story doesn't need as much musical thing to keep it going. There's a lot more pauses in there, and it has time to breathe, but there's nothing wrong with the music. It works well enough for me. Apart from that, I would give the story, because it does plod along quite well, it's quite good, it's quite average, it's enjoyable, it's not quite take your brain out, but it's okay, it works, and I would give it 3.5 TARDISes out of 5. Okay, let's see how that sets up with the rest of the stories I've reviewed so far. State of Decay sits in at 3.5 TARDISes out of 5, along with The Aztecs, Vengeance and Varos, Amy's Choice, The Five Doctors, the Christmas Invasion, Listen, the Macrotera, and Full Circle. At the bottom is still Time Lash with 2.5 TARDISes out of 5. And at the top, at 4.5 TARDISes out of 5, we still have the Happiness Patrol, Inferno, the Day of the Doctor, the Caves of Androzani, the Tomb of the Cybermen, and Dalek. That's it for now. Thanks guys for watching as always. If you want to help out with the Doctor Who reviews for 2021, have a look at the link down below for the Patreon post that's put up. You get a chance to help me choose the next stories for 2021 that I get to review. Until next time though, thanks guys for watching as always. If you like this video, don't forget to like it and share it with the hashtag teamstructor. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well so you know when a new video comes out. General rule, new video every Sunday at 4 PM GMT. The next video is this Wednesday at 6 PM GMT. As part of Who Month, we have Warriors Gate. And then next Sunday at 4 PM GMT, we have Silver Nemesis. Until next time, thanks guys for watching as always. And I will see you then. See you later.